Hey, what's going on? It's Quinn David Furness. Welcome to my show. Quinn David Furness presents the Beantown Podcast for Sunday, July 28th. Excuse me. 2019. What's going on? How are you? What's going on? Just said that. It's like a palindrome of words, a palindromic phrase, if you will. Hey, I've been telling this to people, my new favorite word, and I made it up, but I really like it. Choreolactic. Choriolactic. Choreolactic. 5 syllables, almost a palindrome, and it refers to the Coriolis effect, which in turn refers to basically anything that's spinning, specifically the Earth, but if something is spinning, I like to say that it's choreolactic. So there's your word of the day, your Beantown word of the day. Well, we are the Beantown Podcast, and we are one of the better podcasts on the north side of Chicago. And we're your number one source for misinformation on the internet, probably. I say probably to cover our butts in case any litigious person strolls along and wants to cause a brouhaha. Listener discretion is advised. When you're listening to the Beantown Podcast, number one, we will occasionally use some foul language. And number two, not the chicken kind. Number two, this podcast is objectively terrible. Although, where are we at? This is episode 81, 82, plus 6 or 7 specials. And you know what? We're still on the air. The FCC hasn't banned us. Trump hasn't tweeted about us. I view this as an absolute win, right? It's like that Hulk meme. I don't know what movie that's from. One of the Avengers, probably, but it's become a pretty popular meme these days. Well, what's going on? Another awful night for the Chicago Cubs. So I tell you what, Friday night, so 2 nights ago, I made my whole night I made out of going to a bar and watching a Cubs game. I don't usually do that. If I'm watching a ball game, it's usually at home. And Friday night, I'm usually hanging out with friends. But friends were being pains in the, well, I can say it now because we gave our listener discretion tag, pains in the asses on Friday night. So I ended up just going to a bar and myself watching the game. Cubs were doing just fine, strolling along nicely. 2-0 lead, and then in the 8th inning, they gave up a couple of runs, including bringing Pedro Strop, Cubs legend, one of our greatest relievers of all time, but guy who's he lost it. He got hurt at the end of last year, running to first base, believe it or not, pulled a hamstring, and I think it's the end for our friend Pedro, unfortunately. But he had just given up the lead the day before or 2 days before, and then he did it again on Friday night. And then, of course, the Brew Crew brings in Josh Hader, and that's that. Well, yesterday I wasn't watching the game, but equally frustrating. Cubs up again, 2-0. And then in the bottom of the 8th, they gave up 2 runs, so tie game. Goes into extras. And then Albert Almora hits a home run in the top of the 10th to put us up 3-2. So you're thinking, God, we almost lost the same way we did, the night before, but thank God we're going to get this one. So we bring in our closer, Craig Kimbrell, to close out the game in the bottom of the 10th. I saw the stat that said, I think in his previous 165 games before coming to the Cubs, Kimbrell had only given up, I'm trying to remember what the stat is, basically multiple home runs in an outing, twice or something. And then Kimbrell's been in, I think, 15 games with the Cubs this year, and he's done it twice already. So I just foreshadowed what happened. Gives up a leadoff homer to Yelich. Then I think he walked the next guy, and then the guy after that hit a home run, and we lost 5-3. Didn't even get an out. So, yeah, the Cubs are just about in full free fall mode right now, which is fun. Considering such a streaky team, we were 72 out of the All-Star break, and then we've played, 5 road games now and lost 4 of them. So, it's it's a rough time to be a Cubs fan because we keep getting these leads, getting into the eighth, and that's as far as that lead goes. So it's fascinating to watch how consistently they're able to hold teams down all the way until the very end of the game, and then like clockwork, they just seem to not understand. I don't know if it's because at a certain level, so you can predict a lot of baseball with numbers, percentages, where to shift, where to pitch a guy, what types of pitches, what type of sequences to use. And then you have like Craig Kimbrell come in last night, one of the greatest closers in baseball history, and gives up 2 home runs without getting an out. And it's just like, I know you're facing Yelich. I know he has 36 home runs, but like, there's got to be a place where you can pitch that guy. Right? Don't give him something belt high. It is egregious is what it is, egregious. EGREGIOUS. It's 3 vowels in a row for you counting at home. So yeah, I'm just a little perturbed, if you will. I think the hardest thing is this is a team with such immense talent and potential, and outside of getting another bullpen arm, I mean, the Cubs literally got Derek Holland from the Giants 2 days ago. He came in and pitched last night. I don't think he didn't do very well last night, or maybe he just faced one guy. I don't know, but it's like we still haven't addressed the fact that we can't go through the 8th inning without giving up 2 or 3 runs. It's ridiculous. And if our offense, which is supposed to be our strong suit, it wasn't, 4 or 5 years ago, but now it's supposed to be our strong suit, the offense, with Baez and Contreras and Rizzo, Bryant, and Hayward and the whole gang. We keep only jumping out to these 2-run leads, 2-0, 3-1, something like that, which on most teams would be fine because most teams can close a baseball game, but not these Cubs. So, hey, would be nice to score a couple more runs. Cubs offense does this way too often, and we saw it happen at the end of last year, where despite all their talent and all their skills and all their experience, right, the Cubs are by age young, but they've been playing a lot of playoff baseball the last 4 years. They just seem to not care. I don't know if they just throw their discipline out the window or if every batter goes up there just saying, I'm hitting a home run or I'm hitting nothing. But the Cubs have almost no ability to manufacture runs if they're not slugging, which as an old school baseball player and watcher, I'm not saying go up there and lay down a bunt. That's not what I'm calling for. But just, like, if you need to hit the ball the opposite way, they're not doing that. If you need a smart base running move, they're not doing it. They're not stealing any bases. They're really not working the counts as well as they should be. It's just like, and they just go through, they'll have, a week where they're doing all those things to perfection, and that's what they're capable of, and they'll go through 2 weeks where they just kind of, they'll have a game here and there where they hit a bunch of home runs, and that's enough. But they'll just have innings where it's like 9 or 10 pitches, they're swinging at everything, and I remember I was watching the game Friday night, and I lost count of the amount of fastballs outside of the zone that they were swinging and missing it. And it wasn't every single one was like high heat. There were low fastballs. There were fastballs that were, 6 inches off the outside corner. There were, of course, a handful of high fastballs. But I never understood it as a baseball player. And I know it's different when you're playing in your 15 versus when you're facing 95 miles per hour, but I never understood swinging at the fastballs out of the zone. It's just like, you look at a guy like Joey Votto, he gets it, He knows what his zone is. He's got a good eye, so he recognizes spin on pitches. And in, the half split second interval you have to process what the pitch is, what the spin means for its movement, and where it's going to end up based off of this guy's velocity of his pitches. It sounds like a lot, but when you're getting paid millions to process it, it's kind of a good idea to do your homework. And it just seems like this batch of Cubs, despite their immense talent and their crazy high ceiling, oftentimes they just decide this game, we're just not going to whatever. It's like if it gets too hard, if the pitcher's too good, then it's just like, whatever. Maybe we swing and hit a home run. That would be kind of cool. But otherwise, like, hopefully the pitchers will take care of it. And for the most part, Cubs starting pitching has been dynamite. Hendricks is definitely all the way back. Lester's been hot. Quintana's going to go 6 innings, 2 runs without fail pretty much every game. And even Alec Mills looks good. Yu Darvish is heating up. We'll get Hamels back from the DL soon, but we just can't pitch in the 8th inning. It doesn't matter who it is. I don't know why. I have to look at our bullpen structure. It feels like Brandon Kinsler has been the guy all year who's been Mr. Reliable. So I don't know why he's not doing the 8th. Everyone's saying if it's not Strop, it's got to be Rowan Wick. I don't really know Rowan Wick. I've never really seen him play. He's a AAA guy. So whatever, try him out in the 8th. But why not Kinsler, right? Because he seems to be a shutdown guy. Give Cishek like a week off beach vacation. Man, Joe uses him way too much. Oh, this is my last point that I'll make. And then we'll read some ads, and then I'm going to talk about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Joe Madden, Cubs legend, one of the better managers in baseball history. He's up there on the all-time career wins list. But, man, I don't know. So he's on the last, for those of you who don't know, last year of his contract. And at the start of the season, there's a lot of talk about extensions or, what has to happen for him to get a contract extension offer from the Cubs. Is it World Series or bust? Is it NLCS? Is it making the playoffs? What is it? Does he have to do anything? Whatever. At the start of the year, I was a big Joe guy. Had his back. I mean, he went under a lot of fire, especially during the World Series run for pitching management. Chapman for, 7 outs, whatever, yada, yada. You guys remember that 3 years ago. And, I mean, a lot of those are really hard decisions to make. And when you have an unreliable bullpen, and that was the Cubs situation in 2016, I mean, you remember, you go back and watch those playoffs, Joe did not trust anyone in that bullpen besides Aroldis Chapman, which is crazy to think because they didn't even get him until the deadline. He didn't trust Strop. He didn't trust Rondon. He didn't trust Montgomery. Edwards, Dunsing, I think, was on that team. Travis Wood might have been on that team. I don't remember. Maybe not. Maybe he left before that. But you look at the World Series, who did we use? Hendricks to Lester to Chapman. That was the plan, and then that didn't work. And then they brought in C.J. Edwards and then Montgomery to finish. But, yeah, my point that I was trying to make is through all that, through thick and thin, I saw most of what Joe was trying to do, and I said, all right, you can't control the outcomes as a manager. You can only minimize risk as much as possible. This year, man, I just don't feel like Joe is doing that as effectively, as efficiently. And he's also, I don't know, Joe tends to be a pretty transparent guy. But he's made some bullpen decisions this year that we never really got a ton of explanation for, and it's just, yeah. He's been pulling the starting pitchers early, which is tough because you want to protect your pitchers' arms, especially if you're trying to make an October run. But at the end of the day, I mean, if your guy's at 90 pitches and you don't have the bullpen plan to get through the last 4 innings of the game, and your starting pitcher's been absolutely lights out, no problems, throw him in there again. Come on. Unless he's injured, if he's feeling fine, get him a Gatorade, let him go out and throw 15 more pitches to finish off another 3 batters, because what happened on Friday, Joe didn't have the bullpen length to get through the 4 innings he needed, and look what happened. So I rest my case. Wow, a 10-plus minute rant on the Chicago Cubs. I don't normally, people know me, they know I like sports. I don't normally sit here and rant about sports, however, and that wasn't even my plan. I didn't plan that out. I was just really frustrated. I think it's because I invested my entire Friday night into watching a game. I literally sat at a bar for 3.5 hours watching this game, and the first 3 hours and 10 minutes of it were really enjoyable, and then the last 20 minutes really sucked. And then last night I didn't watch it, but I was following it. I was at a house party. I was following it on my phone, and just absolutely brutal. To go from 2-0 to all of a sudden it's 2-2, and you're like, oh, here we go again. Then you're up 3-2 again after a home run in the extra innings, and you're like, oh, great, we got this. And then you see it's 3-3, and you're like, God damn it. Well, let's get to the 11th, and the next thing you know, no outs are recorded, and you lose 5-3. It's just like, oh, wow. All right. Next one. Cubs still haven't won a road series in, where are we at, about 2 months now? So that's not how you win in October. Let me tell you that much. Let's get to some ads here, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. My hope is to publish the article about it. I haven't written anything yet, but I've got a lot of thoughts up here, so I'll muse a little bit on the podcast, and I'll try not to spoil anything. There's not a ton to spoil, but for those of you who haven't seen it, and I understand that's most of you because it just came out on Thursday night, let's talk about it in a little bit here. All right. I'm lying on my couch, my Craigslist free couch, and, so my head is turned sideways, and I'm trying to read my laptop screen, which is on the coffee table, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Let's do our best here. I think the Home Pride Oregon ad I know well enough. I could probably do a pretty good job without the ad in front of me reading it, but let's see here. I got this. Are you tired of selling your house for less than a quarter of what it's worth, all because you couldn't find a reliable home inspector in time? Well, Oregon listeners, there's good news. Home Pride Inspection Services in Bend, Oregon is Central Oregon's hottest new home inspection provider, with inspection services including things like heating and cooling, roofing, plumbing, and so much more. It's your classic SMM, so much more. Home Pride Oregon is both contractor certified and home inspection certified. Wow, it's a 2-in-1 package. So you're getting the good stuff. It's like if you go on a Tinder date with fraternal twins or identical twins. If you're tired of big real estate stranglehold on the home inspection market, and you want a safe, certified home inspector that you can trust, you better call Steve. Pick up that phone right now and call him at 541-410-0316 or visit homeprideoregon.com. There's no excuse. Call 541-410-0316 or visit homeprideoregon.com. Home Pride Oregon, inspection perfection. And of course, when you go to homeprideoregon.com, you can see that they've got the guarantee. I don't remember the name of the insurance company who does it, but if Steve misses anything in your inspection, they're going to buy your home for $1 or it's something like that. It sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? But you can go to homeprideoregon.com and check it out. Here, I'll do you one better. I'll look at it. Oops, that's beantownpodcast.com. I have various websites bookmarked on my internet browser. homeprideoregon.com. Wow, look at that website. Serving Bend and Central Oregon. It's the InterNACHI CPI Certified Professional Inspection Guarantee. As a certified professional inspector, and I'm reading off of homeprideoregon.com, and I almost belched, which is why my voice sounds weird. was eating a Danish earlier. Oh man! So I try to go grocery shopping at like 8 a.m. on Sundays because that's when the grocery store opens, and it's super quiet because it's like on a Sunday morning. That's before everyone kind of gets going. People are awake, but they're sort of groggy, groggy, or hungover. So if I get there right at 8, I got the whole grocery store to myself. I feel like if they made a Risky Business sequel where Tom Cruise just goes grocery shopping the whole time, that's kind of what it's like. Let's see. According to Steve, I have completed a rigorous training program and I'm certified by the country's leading home inspection organization. This means you can be assured that I have the knowledge and experience to do the best possible job for you, my client. We'll buy your home, guarantee full purchase price backed by International. If we miss anything, they'll buy your home back. And then they got guarantee details. It's a nice little, what are we doing, a PDF here? Yeah. Wow, it's got all the information you could ever want. Look at that. Go to Home Pride Oregon, click on that International guarantee, and they'll get you hooked up. All right. Shout out to the Samson Q2U series. Always fresh, always clean, crisp. You gotta have it. If any of you listen to the White Noise podcast lately, we just had our first new episode in a couple weeks, dropped this last Tuesday, and we should have another one dropping at the start of this upcoming week. But the Samsung Q2U series, in case you're curious, not only does it service the Beantown podcast, it services the White Noise podcast as well. So just remember, whether it's Quinn, whether it's our friend of the podcast and co-host of the White Noise podcast, Matt Fiedler, whether it's any of you beaners or beanheads out there, or whether it's God, when we speak, we use a Samson. And I don't have it in front of me, and I don't remember the name of the company, which is not good. But what did I say? Audacious Curves? Something like that. Ferocious Curves? Fabulous Curves? Wow. I don't know where that came from. I cleaned off my coffee table. All my magazines, including my TV guides, are in the other room. But it's a lingerie company, and we're still trying to get that sponsorship. So if anyone's got any contacts at, Dubious Curves? Is that right? Is it dubious? It's some lesser known adjective that kind of surprised me when I saw it. I remember talking about it 2 or 3 weeks ago. But we're trying to get them, for the ladies. For the ladies listeners of the podcast. It could be fun. Maybe we could get one of those things where it's like use promo code. It's not a word. Promo code QDF or something to get 50% off your next t-shirt, bra. I'd be down. I would be down, man. So look out for that. I'll keep you posted. Let's finish up here with Cuts by Q so we can talk a little Tarantino. Bob and weave. We all know the hairstyle. We all love it. But how many north side of Chicago-based independent barbers can actually give it to you the way you deserve? Enter Cuts by Q. It's like Enter Sandman, but a little different. Cuts by Q has been independently owned and operated since 1995 and is probably one of the better barbershop operations servicing north side of Chicago, Cook County, and greater Chicagoland area. From beehives to bangs, faux hawks to flat tops, and everything in between and everyone in between. Call Cuts by Q at 815-298-7200 or email cutsbyq@yahoo.com. Again, that's Cuts! Q-U-T-Z. Q-U-T-Z. By q@yahoo.com. Oh, and sing it along with me if you're at home, if you're driving home, if you're swimming, if you're biking, or if you're just at a quinceañera and they said, hey, you know what we'd love to do? Play us a Beantown podcast installment. Everyone join in. Oh, and you need a fresh do, something snappy and new. Just call the experts at Cuts by Q. Thank you to all the quinceañeras out there. Se habla español. I like to say that to feel inclusive. Okay. We are going to finish off here with a little Tarantino talk. All right, so Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino, number 9, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie are the 3 sort of big ones. And then also limited action from, let's see, Pacino, Dakota Fanning, plays Squeaky Fromm, Bruce Dern is in it. Emil Hirsch has a pretty small role. I'm trying to think. I don't want to offend anyone. That's what's coming to me off the top of my head in terms of Kurt Russell, of course, is in it as well, but not a big part. Okay, so right off the bat, it's an entertaining movie. If you like Tarantino, you're gonna like this movie. It's not as gory as, Kill Bill's, Inglourious Bastard, etc. It's not as much about that. For the most part, I mean, Tarantino's movies are about how much he likes movies. This is just like the ultimate epitome of this. I mean, there are scenes. So if anyone doesn't know, in the movie, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt play fictional characters. Pretty much everyone else is real, but DiCaprio plays a fading actor. Pitt plays a stunt double. But there are scenes in this film where it's just DiCaprio acting, so an actor within a show. There are a couple sets that go on for like double-digit minutes. It feels like it's 165 minutes, the whole movie, so it's long. The second act in particular is really long. And what I'll say about this movie, and one thing that I haven't really decided how I feel about it yet, but the first and second acts of the movie are kind of like their own thing. And then the third act is really short, not really short, but it feels way smaller than the rest of the movie. And that's where like everything happens. So if you don't know much about the movie, it was kind of being packaged or branded as being about, the end of sort of this quote-unquote age of innocence in Hollywood, which is BS, but and sort of the Manson family and all that stuff. It's really it's only about that for a little tiny bit. So if you're just really into really good acting and Tarantino's style and excellent cinematography, then it's a good movie because Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are excellent. Now, I'm going to try to do this without spoilers. I have a lot of issues with the film, and it's probably my least favorite Tarantino movie. For starters, so you kind of go into the movie assuming Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate is going to have a pretty big role, considering she's a very important figure in this historical timeline. Instead, Tarantino just kind of relegates her to a total object, and not a sexual object. The movie doesn't take that turn at any point. Sexually isn't part of the movie, to be honest. But she doesn't do anything. You don't get any insight into her. She has very few lines, not a ton of screen time. She's by herself the whole movie. She never gets to interact with anybody that you are invested in. I guess that's kind of a spoiler. Spoiler alert, I don't think these are anything major, but she just doesn't really do anything. And for Tarantino, who has a not great rap sheet with how his relationship with women on his movie sets, I'm thinking like Uma Thurman and Kill Bill stunt double stuff. But then also his, Roman Polanski comments. It all just kind of adds up in the way he not treats, but the way he portrays Sharon Tate's character is just like, really? Like, you're going to make a movie specifically about this, and that's what we get? That was really frustrating to me. Let's see, what else did I have issues with? There are a couple other points in that vein that I wanted to touch upon. I talked about Sharon Tate. The women in general aren't really given anything to do in the movie. There's going to be a big spoiler here. I'm going to try to talk about it without saying it. Brad Pitt's character has a very important thing happen to him that is given very little attention, screen time, and in most situations would be considered a really big deal, but Tarantino just kind of plays it off as a joke. And in general, I guess the point I'm getting to is this movie does not look good for Tarantino in terms of his relationship with women. It just, I don't know. He had to have known what it was going to look like, but it wasn't good. Getting a phone call here. No, I can't answer. I'm on live air. Oh, no, now it's making my computer freeze. No! All right, if you can still hear me, my name is Quinn David Furness, and this is my podcast. Quinn David Furness presents the Beantown podcast. Other issues I have with it, the whole female aspect of it was probably the biggest issue I had with it. Boy, my computer's running slow. Wow, we're doing our best to get us to the finish line here. Apologies if any of this is choppy. The script I didn't think was that interesting. As far as Tarantino humor goes, there were some funny moments. And there's kind of an aspect to Leonardo DiCaprio's character that I thought was really funny and really fascinating, but they only kind of hit it up twice. And then the rest of the time, it doesn't really come into play, which is just a bummer because to me, that was the most entertaining. Again, I'm trying to talk about this movie without giving anything away. The only other thing, there are lots of things I want to say, but for the sake of time, we already mentioned the time, 165 minutes, I think. The pacing is, I didn't love it. I thought it started off well, and then the second act, it's like three separate storylines. Each main character started doing their own thing, and it's real slow. Man, one of the characters is just doing something that doesn't really matter to anything, and it's just kind of there as like a artsy thing. It has nothing to do with the movie, in my opinion. And the shots are really cool. The camera work is interesting and creative, but in terms of its actual, it was just, I wasn't sitting there bored, but the whole time just thinking, what's the point? What's the message? This doesn't mean anything. And another character has, Brad Pitt's storyline is kind of the most intriguing or interesting or entertaining to watch from a keep you on the edge of your seat perspective. But even then, you're just kind of it's in the middle of the movie. Nothing's going to happen to Brad Pitt. And then Leonardo DiCaprio's storyline in the second act is just, it's like Quentin Tarantino playing with himself. Apologies for that image. But Tarantino spends half an hour in the second act of this movie just having Leonardo DiCaprio act, and it's this is fine, but it just feels not completely out of place, but just it's just too long, man. It just goes and goes and goes. This feels like the director's cut, which is the kind of last point I'll make, and I mentioned this, I saw it with my brother. It kind of just feels like at this point, Quentin Tarantino now is, such a huge success and worldwide name, where in his early movies, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, he was on such a tighter leash from the studios that everything was just a lot more clean. Not in the sense of lack of gore, but just it was tight. And now that he sort of has total creative license to do whatever he wants, you can appreciate that, but it also just means, like, whew, if you're the type of person who falls asleep during movies, good luck in the second act of this one, because it takes a long time for him to say anything. And what he says at the end is, and I'm talking about Tarantino on like a macro scale at this point, what the movie says is not, to me, that interesting, frankly. It's kind of like Seinfeld. It's kind of a movie about nothing, TBH. And not Seinfeld is the greatest sitcom of all time, so maybe that says something about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But it just, I don't know. I don't hate the movie. I liked it. I was entertained by it. Where my issues come into play are the fact that it's a Tarantino movie, and he's only making 10 of them. And we have really high expectations and high standards. And this one, to me, is just, in fact, his last two now, this one, Hateful Eight, I'm just like, now that Tarantino's completely off the leash and he can just do whatever he wants, I haven't been that entertained. His last three movies now are all kind of pseudo-westerns, and it's just, or like having to do with westerns. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is not a western, but it centers around western aspects, and if you don't know what that means, just watch the movie and you'll get it. And I like Django, but like, I don't know. It's just, I was kind of, everyone's always like, oh, you think Tarantino's actually going to stop at 10? And he did an interview with Kimmel this past week where Kimmel asked him about it. And Tarantino seemed pretty confident that, yeah, he was going to stop at 10. And up until, 2 movies ago, I would have been like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. Now I'm like, that's fine. We're good. I'm going to stick to, my happier memories, Django. A lot of people love Inglourious Bastards. I go back and forth. It's really violent for me. I have a hard time watching it. But Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs is great. I don't know. Tarantino is great, and he's really talented. His movies aren't always my favorite for a lot of different reasons. Oftentimes they're too violent. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it was not that at all. It's a lot of different things that I just went through. So we're going to try to put up a full review on beantownpodcast.com. You can check that out as soon as we get some time to organize and collect my thoughts. I'll get that down. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns, maybe you saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you want to let us know what you think, you can always email us, beantownpodcast@yahoo.com. Again, that's Beantown, BEANTOWN podcast @yahoo.com. You can always tweet at our Twitter page. We are at BeantownCast. And we would love to hear from you. Direct message us wherever you can find us. Wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's Google Play, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, YouTube, SoundCloud, not CastBox yet, we're getting there, but Spotify, wherever, whenever, and whomever. It's got to be Quinn David Furness presents the Beantown Podcast. All right, 38 minutes. Sounds pretty good to me. TBH. Not too long, not too short. Right in that sweet spot. This was a little bit more of a concise podcast. We talked about two things. We rambled about the Cubs. Bitched, I think, is a better word. We bitched about the Cubs. And did a little bitching about Quentin Tarantino. A little bit of complaining the last couple of podcasts. But that's what the fans say they want. So, just turning into Bill Burr over here. All right. I got to get some stuff done. Let's go do it. All right. For all of us here at Quinn David Furness presents the Beantown Podcast. New episodes weekly. Don't forget. Thanks for tuning in to all the beaners, beanheads. As a reminder, we have Beantown buttons. So next time you see me, ask me for a Beantown button, and we'll be sure to hook you up. All right. That's what we got. Everyone have a great Sunday. Be safe, be kind, and stay out of that heat. If you have AC, might be a good day to turn it on. We don't all have that privilege, so take advantage of it. Call the ones you love. And I got to call my sister back because she interrupted the Beantown Podcast live recording session. How dare she? If she was on Family Chat this morning, we wouldn't have had that problem. Oh, well. Separate family issues. We'll talk to you later. This is Quinn. This is my show. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.